Marcus Devaney sits in his car outside the chain-link fence surrounding the old Memorial Medical Center ruins, rain drumming on his windshield like 1,000 tiny fingers tapping out a rhythm he's memorized over 18 years. He's 52 now, graying at the temples, wearing his Coast Guard uniform, recently promoted to captain after 30 years of service pulling people from water, from wreckage, from death. In his lap sits a photograph so faded the edges have gone soft. Him and Jennifer Chen at Café du Monde, covered in powdered sugar, laughing at something he can't remember anymore. He's forgotten the joke. He's never forgotten her face. They were supposed to get married October 15th, 2005. The invitations were printed on cream-colored cardstock with gold lettering, expensive because Jennifer's mother insisted. The venue was booked, a renovated warehouse in the warehouse district, with exposed brick and Edison bulbs. Jennifer's wedding dress hung in her apartment closet, a simple A-line gown with lace sleeves that she'd tried on 17 times, each time crying because she felt beautiful. Then Hurricane Katrina hit on August 29, 2005, and Jennifer vanished. For 18 years, Marcus has visited this spot every August 29th, standing in the rain as if the water could wash away the not knowing, the terrible suspended animation of a life paused mid-breath. Jennifer was last seen at 2:00 p.m. on Monday, August 29, 2005, inside Memorial Medical Center, manually keeping a patient alive, squeezing oxygen into failing lungs every 2 seconds. By Wednesday, August 31st, when the hospital finally evacuated, she was gone. No body in the makeshift morgue. No name on any helicopter manifest, no explanation. Just another name on the list of Katrina missing, one of 214 people who disappeared into the storm like smoke. But here's something you need to know before we go any further, and I want you to think about this carefully. Where are you from? Have you ever lived through a natural disaster? Have you ever known someone who simply vanished? Because what I'm about to tell you about Jennifer Chen and 4 other nurses is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about Hurricane Katrina. If you've been following this story, or if this is your first time hearing it, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. This investigation took months to piece together, and these 5 women deserve to have their story told to as many people as possible. Trust me, you're going to want to stay until the end because yesterday, August 27, 2023, construction workers found something in a sealed attic space that proves Jennifer didn't die in the flood. She died because someone at Memorial Medical Center had a secret worth killing for, and that person is still alive. The fortress that became a tomb, Memorial Medical Center in August 2005, was supposed to be one of the safest buildings in New Orleans. Built in 1926 as Southern Baptist Hospital, the 317-bed community hospital in Mid-City had survived Hurricane Betsy in 1965, Hurricane Camille in 1969, and dozens of smaller storms. The building was solid brick and concrete, 7 stories of Depression-era construction that seemed designed to outlast the apocalypse. Hospital administrators called it fortress-like in disaster planning meetings. Staff joked that Memorial could survive anything except a direct nuclear strike. The building served a diverse neighborhood. Working-class black families in Treme whose ancestors had lived there since Reconstruction, middle-class Vietnamese immigrants clustered near Carrollton Avenue who'd come after the fall of Saigon, white professionals in Lakeview who'd moved in during the 90s housing boom. Memorial delivered 200 babies yearly, ran a Level 2 trauma center, and housed Life Care Hospital, a long-term acute care facility on the 7th floor where the sickest patients in New Orleans lived on ventilators and feeding tubes, kept alive by machines and the dedication of nurses who knew every patient's name. But the building had one fatal design flaw that nobody thought about until it was too late. The generators were in the basement, not elevated, not protected by flood walls, just sitting in a concrete room below sea level, in a city that was itself below sea level, surrounded by water held back by aging levees and hope. When Hurricane Katrina's storm surge breached the 17th Street Canal at 8:30 a.m. on Monday, August 29th, the basement flooded in minutes. Generators died with a mechanical scream that echoed through the stairwells. Backup generators coughed twice and drowned. The hospital went dark, with 220 patients and 600 staff and family members trapped inside a building that had suddenly transformed from fortress to tomb. Among those trapped were 5 nurses who had volunteered to stay during the storm. 5 women who made the choice to risk their lives to save others. 5 women whose families would spend the next 18 years wondering what happened in the darkness. The 5 who stayed: Jennifer Chen, 34 years old, ICU nurse specializing in ventilator care, the daughter of Chinese immigrants who'd arrived in San Francisco in 1968 with nothing but 2 suitcases and a determination to give their children better lives. Jennifer grew up bilingual, speaking Mandarin at home and English everywhere else, playing piano at her parents' Sichuan restaurant every Sunday after church, while customers clapped politely between courses. She had a tattoo of a lotus flower on her shoulder blade, a rebellion against her conservative parents that she'd gotten at 25 and never regretted. She was engaged to Coast Guard officer Marcus Devaney, and everyone who knew them said they were disgustingly in love, the kind of couple that finished each other's sentences and held hands even in the grocery store. Jennifer was known at Memorial for humming Beatles songs while she worked, usually Here Comes the Sun, when she was intubating patients, or Let It Be, when someone was dying and she wanted them to have music in their last moments. She stayed during Katrina because her ICU patients were on ventilators and couldn't be moved. Someone has to keep them breathing, she told Marcus the night before the storm. If I leave, they die. It's that simple. Maria Rodriguez, 41 years old, ER trauma nurse with 15 years at Memorial, originally from Tegucigalpa, Honduras, who'd immigrated to New Orleans in 1987 and become a nurse because, as she told anyone who asked, I wanted to help people the way nurses helped my mother when she was dying. Single mother to 3 boys. Miguel, 12 years old and already showing signs of his mother's stubborn determination. Carlos, 9, who wanted to be a doctor like on TV. And Luis, 6, who still slept with a stuffed elephant his mother had bought him at the Audubon Zoo. Her boys evacuated to Houston with her sister Estella before the storm, loaded into a minivan with crying and promises of return. Maria was Catholic, devout in a way that embarrassed her sons, but comforted her soul. She wore a gold crucifix that had belonged to her grandmother, attended daily mass before her nursing shifts at 6 a.m., and was known for singing Spanish lullabies to pediatric patients who were crying from pain or fear. Duerme, duerme, negrito, que tu mama está en el campo, negrito. Her voice could calm a screaming child in 30 seconds. She stayed for the $500 storm bonus that Memorial offered to volunteers. $500 meant school supplies for Miguel, new shoes for Carlos, medicine for Luis's asthma. $500 was 2 weeks of groceries, a month of electricity, the difference between surviving and drowning financially. She kissed her sons goodbye through a phone call, promising she'd be home by the weekend. I'll bring you pan dulce from the Mexican bakery, she told them. The kind you love, with the pink sugar on top. Patricia Patty Williams, 29 years old, pediatric nurse, Treme native, 6th-generation New Orleanian whose family tree was rooted so deep in the city that her ancestors had been free people of color before the Civil War. She played clarinet in a brass band on weekends, performing at second lines and jazz funerals, the kind of music that made tourists cry because it was so beautiful and so sad simultaneously. She was engaged to her high school sweetheart Darnell Washington, a contractor who'd promised to build her a house in Treme with a porch where they could watch the neighborhood kids play. Patty had a scar on her left arm, 3 inches long and raised, from breaking up a fight in the ER during her nursing school clinical rotation, when a patient high on PCP tried to stab another patient with a scalpel. She'd stepped between them, taken the blade across her forearm, and then calmly talked the man down while blood soaked through her scrubs. Her clinical instructor gave her an A+ for the rotation and wrote in her evaluation, "This student has the courage and compassion to become an exceptional nurse." She stayed for that same $500 storm bonus. She and Darnell needed money for their wedding, October 22, 2005, just 6 weeks after Katrina. The venue was booked, the caterer paid, but they still needed money for flowers for the DJ for the honeymoon to Miami that Darnell had been planning as a surprise. "1 hurricane," Patty told her grandmother. "I work 1 hurricane, we get the money, and then I get married and never work another storm again." Angela Thornton, 52 years old, medical surgical nurse manager with 23 years at Memorial, 23 years of training new nurses and fighting with administrators and advocating for her patients with a ferocity that made doctors respect her and fear her in equal measure. Widowed at 40 when her husband Thomas died of a massive heart attack while mowing the lawn on a Saturday morning, just collapsed between the azalea bushes and the bird bath, dead before the ambulance arrived. No children. She'd wanted them desperately, but after years of trying and 3 miscarriages, she and Thomas had accepted it wasn't meant to be. Her life became the hospital. The nurses on her floor called her Mama Angie because she was strict but protective, the kind of manager who would write you up for being late and then cover your shift when your kid was sick so you wouldn't lose pay. She collected porcelain angels, kept 3 on her desk in the nurses' station, gifts from patients' families, from nurses she'd trained, from Thomas before he died. Her Lakeview house, a small bungalow with a garden full of roses and hydrangeas, would be completely destroyed by the 17th Street canal breach, but she didn't know that yet. She stayed because her nurses needed her. "I can't ask them to work a hurricane if I won't work it myself," she told the assistant director of nursing. "That's not leadership, that's cowardice." Rebecca Moore, 38 years old, oncology nurse estranged from her wealthy Garden District family after marrying jazz musician David Moore, a saxophone player who performed at Preservation Hall and bars on Frenchman Street for tourists and tips. 2 daughters, Emma, 7, and Lily, 5, who'd been evacuated to Atlanta with David before the storm. Rebecca and David were separated but not divorced. He wanted her to quit nursing and come back to the Garden District life of charity luncheons and country clubs, and she refused because nursing was the first thing in her life that had ever felt meaningful. She wore her wedding ring on a chain hidden under her scrubs, close to her heart but invisible to everyone else, a symbol of a marriage that was technically alive but practically dead. Her family hadn't spoken to her in 3 years, not since she'd told them she wasn't divorcing David and wasn't quitting her job at Memorial. "You're throwing your life away on that musician and those cancer patients," her mother had said. Rebecca had replied, "No, Mother, I'm finally living my life instead of the one you planned for me." She stayed because she had 8 patients on her oncology floor who were terminal, stage 4 cancers eating them from the inside, patients who couldn't evacuate because they were too weak, too sick, too close to death. "If I leave," she told David over the phone from Atlanta, "who will hold their hands when they die? Who will make sure they have morphine for the pain? Who will tell them they're not alone?" 5 nurses. 5 women with families who loved them, with plans for the future, with reasons to live. 5 women who made the choice to stay and save lives during Hurricane Katrina. None of them would leave Memorial Medical Center alive. The last normal day Sunday, August 28, 2005, 7:00 a.m. Jennifer Chen's apartment, Mobile, Alabama. Jennifer's alarm plays "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles, the same song that's woken her every morning for the past 6 years. She rolls over in bed, sees Marcus sleeping beside her, his face peaceful in the early light filtering through her bedroom curtains. They'd spent the night together at his Mobile apartment, a violation of the Catholic guilt her mother had instilled since childhood, but Katrina was coming, and she'd wanted to be with him one more time before driving back to New Orleans. Marcus wakes, pulls her close against his chest. She can feel his heartbeat against her back, steady and strong. "Don't go back," he murmurs into her hair. "Don't go back to New Orleans. Stay here. Marry me today. We'll go to the courthouse right now, get a judge, do it in jeans and t-shirts. I don't care about the wedding. I just want you safe." Jennifer laughs, the sound soft and warm, and turns to kiss him. "I already called in. I'm working the storm. ICU needs me. We've got 6 ventilator patients who can't be moved, Marcus. Someone has to keep them breathing." "Jennifer, this is a Category 5. The hospital's built like a fortress. I've worked hurricanes before. Remember Ivan last year? I was fine. Ivan turned at the last minute. Katrina isn't turning. Then I'll be extra careful." She kisses him again, longer this time, memorizing the taste of his lips, the smell of his skin. "I love you. I'll call you Monday night when the worst is over. And then I'll come back and we'll finish planning this ridiculously expensive wedding that your mother insists on, and in 6 weeks we'll get married, and everything will be perfect." Marcus holds her so tight, she gasps. "I love you," he whispers. "God, I love you so much." She showers, dresses in jeans and her favorite ICU scrub top, the purple one with cartoon stethoscopes printed on it that made pediatric patients smile. She checks her phone. 8 missed calls from her mother. She calls back, and her mother answers on the first ring, voice already breaking. They speak in Mandarin rapid fire, Jennifer's mother begging her not to go. Mama ting wo shuo, Mama ting wo shuo, Mama listen to me, Jennifer says, her voice soothing, practiced from years of calming anxious patients. 我是护士，这是我的工作，我会没事的。我是护士，这是我的工作，我会没事的。I'm a nurse, this is my job, I'll be fine. Her mother is crying now, full sobs. 我做了一个梦，你没有回来。我做了一个梦，你没有回来。I had a dream. You didn't come back. 梦只是梦，妈妈。我星期二给你打电话，我爱你。梦只是梦，妈妈。我 X 星期二给你打电话，我爱你。Dreams are just dreams, Mama. I'll call you Tuesday. I love you. She hangs up before her mother can argue more. Marcus drives her to her car in the parking lot. Sun rising over Mobile Bay. Wind already picking up. Palm trees bending and swaying like dancers warming up for a performance. They stand together, his hands on her waist, her hands on his shoulders. I'll see you in 2 days, Jennifer says. Maybe 3 if the roads are bad. But I'll come back. I promise I'll come back. Marcus hugs her one last time, breathing in the scent of her shampoo, jasmine and honey. I love you, he says. She drives away in her Honda Civic, and he watches her taillights disappear down Highway 90 toward New Orleans, toward the storm, toward a destiny neither of them can see coming. The last image he'll ever have of Jennifer alive is her hand waving out the driver's window, her engagement ring catching the morning sun. Sunday, August 28, 2005, 9 a.m., Maria Rodriguez's apartment, Carrollton Avenue, New Orleans. Maria's sister Estella is in Houston, loading Maria's 3 boys into a minivan borrowed from a friend. Maria is on speakerphone from her New Orleans apartment, and Miguel, her oldest, her serious one, is crying. Not the loud wailing of his younger brothers, but the quiet, hiccuping sobs of a 12-year-old trying to be brave and failing. Mami, ¿por qué no puedes venir? Mommy, why can't you come? Miguel asks. Everyone else's mums left. Why do you have to stay? Maria's voice breaks. Mi amor, tengo que ayudar a la gente enferma. My love, I have to help the sick people. There are patients at the hospital who need me, but I'll call you every night. Every single night before bed, okay? And I'll be home by the weekend, I promise, te lo prometo. Carlos, 9 years old, grabs the phone. Are you gonna die, Mommy? No, baby, no, I'm going to be fine. The hospital is the safest place in New Orleans, safer than anywhere. Luis, 6, is crying in the background, asking for his mama, and Maria can hear it through the phone, and it's killing her, ripping her heart out of her chest. Let me talk to Luis, she says. Estela puts Luis on. Mommy? Hey, bebe, you be good for Tia Estela, okay? And take care of Elefante. Elefante is his stuffed elephant, worn and loved and missing one eye. Don't let him get scared. Okay, Mommy. I love you. I love you too, mi bebe. Te amo mucho. After hanging up, Maria sits in her apartment on Carrollton Avenue, the apartment she bought 5 years ago after saving every penny from every shift, every overtime hour, every holiday bonus. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. A kitchen where she cooked arroz con pollo and sopa de res for her boys every Sunday. Photos of Miguel, Carlos and Luis cover every wall. School pictures, birthday parties, Halloween costumes. Their drawings are magneted to the refrigerator. Stick figures of Mama in scrubs, hearts and flowers. I love you, Mommy, in crayon. This apartment represents her American dream. She came to New Orleans from Honduras with nothing. Worked 3 jobs while going to nursing school. Sacrificed everything so her sons could have better lives than she did. They would go to college. They would become doctors or lawyers or engineers. They would never know poverty. She packs methodically. 3 sets of scrubs, toiletries. A rosary her mother gave her before dying of cervical cancer in 1999. A photo of her boys that she keeps in her badge holder. She looks around the apartment one more time, touches the photos on the wall, whispers a prayer in Spanish. Dios, protege a mis hijos. Manténlos a salvo. Y si algo me pasa, ayúdales a recordar que los amé más que a mi vida. God, protect my sons, keep them safe. And if something happens to me, help them remember that I loved them more than my life. She locks the door, drives to Memorial. The parking lot is already crowded. Staff arriving for the storm, cars packed with pillows and supplies. Maria parks in her usual spot, looks at the hospital, solid and imposing against the darkening sky. She thinks about her boys in Houston. She thinks about the patients inside who need her. She prays one more time, crosses herself, and walks toward the entrance. Sunday, August 28, 2005, 12 Kayakers p.m. Patty Williams's grandmother's house, Treme. Patty's at her grandmother's shotgun house in Treme, the same house where her grandmother Esther was born in 1932, the same house that's been in the Williams family since her great-great-grandfather bought it in 1887 with money he'd saved working on the docks. Darnell is helping board up windows, sweating in the August heat, his shirt stuck to his back. Patty's grandmother sits on the front porch in her rocking chair, smoking a Virginia Slim cigarette, watching her granddaughter with eyes that have seen too much. Depression, World War II, Jim Crow, Vietnam, crack epidemic, every disaster New Orleans has survived. At 73, Esther Williams knows when something bad is coming. "You sure about this, baby?" Esther asks, her voice raspy from 50 years of smoking. Patty nods, securing a plywood board over the living room window. "We need that $500 bonus, Grandma. The wedding costs money. The dress was $800, the venue's $3,000. Flowers are $500. It adds up." Esther takes a long drag, exhales smoke slowly. "Money ain't worth dying for, Patricia." "I'm not gonna die," Patty laughs. "It's just a hurricane. We've had hurricanes before. Remember Betsy? Remember Camille? The city survived. I'll survive." Darnell finishes boarding the last window, walks over to Patty, takes her aside away from Esther's sharp ears. "Baby, please," he says quietly. "Please come with me to Baton Rouge. We'll figure out the wedding money another way. I can take extra construction jobs. We can have a smaller wedding. I don't care. I just want you safe." Patty touches his face, traces the line of his jaw with her fingers. She loves this man so much it hurts. Loves him with the kind of love that her grandmother used to tell her about, the kind that lasts forever. "I'll be fine," she says. "The hospital's the safest place in the city, and it's only 2 days. 3 at most. Then I'll come home, and in 6 weeks we'll get married, and we'll have babies and a house and everything we've ever wanted." Darnell pulls her close, kisses her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. "I love you," he whispers. "I love you so damn much." "I love you too." Patty hugs her grandmother goodbye. Esther holds her tight, tighter than usual, and whispers in her ear, "You come home to me, Patricia. You hear me? You come home." "I will, Grandma, I promise." She drives to Memorial with the windows down, brass band music playing loud from the CD player. Rebirth brass bands feel like funkin' it up. And she's tapping the steering wheel, singing along, feeling good. The sky is darkening, clouds piling up like mountains on the horizon, but Patty isn't scared. She's 29 years old, about to get married, about to start her real life. Nothing can stop her. Sunday, August 28, 2005, 2:00 p.m., Angela Thornton's house, Lakeview. Angela's at her Lakeview bungalow, wrapping her porcelain angel collection in newspaper, each one carefully cocooned in paper and placed in cardboard boxes. She has 47 angels collected over 23 years, one for each year she's been a nurse. Some were gifts from patients' families after she'd saved their loved ones. Some were gifts from nurses she'd trained who'd gone on to become managers themselves. 3 were from Thomas, her husband, bought on anniversaries and Christmases before he died. She carries the boxes to the attic, climbs the fold-down ladder, places them carefully in the rafters. "You'll be safe here," she tells them, as if they can hear. "The attic never floods, you'll be fine." Her house is small, neat, painfully lonely, everything in its place. Photos of Thomas on the mantel, their wedding day in 1981, a vacation to Gulf Shores in 1988, Christmas 1992, just months before he died. His clothes are still in the closet. She couldn't bear to get rid of them. Some nights she pulls out one of his shirts, presses it to her face, tries to remember what he smelled like. The scent is gone now, replaced by mothballs and time. She locks the house, drives to Memorial, listening to NPR on the radio. Mayor Ray Nagin is ordering mandatory evacuation. The announcer's voice is serious, urgent. "This is a Category 5 hurricane. If you're still in New Orleans, you need to leave now." But Angela can't leave, won't leave. She thinks about the 4th-floor nurses who work under her, Jennifer Chen, Patty Williams, Maria Rodriguez, Rebecca Moore, 12 others who volunteered to stay. Young women she's trained, mentored, protected, like the daughters she never had. They're working this storm because she asked them to, because she told them the hospital needed them. I can't ask them to risk their lives if I won't risk mine, she says aloud to the empty car. That's not leadership, that's cowardice. She parks at Memorial, walks inside, finds her nurses already setting up cots in break rooms and supply closets. Jennifer is checking ventilators. Patty is playing cards with pediatric patients. Maria is helping move elderly patients to interior rooms away from windows. Rebecca is reading to a cancer patient who's too weak to hold a book. Angela watches them work, these young women who chose to stay, and she feels proud and terrified. Sunday, August 28, 2005, 5:00 p.m., Atlanta Airport. Rebecca Moore is at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, on the phone with David, her estranged husband. Her daughters Emma and Lily are playing nearby, chasing each other around the gate waiting area, laughing, normal, happy, safe. Becca, you don't have to do this, David says, his voice tight with frustration they've perfected over 13 years of marriage. You're not responsible for those cancer patients. Let other nurses handle it. Come to my sister's house. Stay with us. Stay with the girls. Rebecca stiffens, feels the familiar anger rising. This argument, always this argument. David, I have 8 patients on my floor who are terminal. Stage 4. Dying. They can't evacuate. They're too weak. If I don't stay, who will? Who's going to hold their hands when they're scared? Who's going to give them morphine when the pain gets bad? Who's going to tell them they're not alone? That's not your job. It's exactly my job. It's the only job I've ever had that mattered. David sighs, the long-suffering sigh she knows so well. Fine. Be a martyr, like always. Throw your life away for strangers. I'm not a martyr. I'm a nurse. She hangs up, hands shaking. Emma runs over, 7 years old. Perceptive, worried. Mama, are you okay? Rebecca kneels, pulls both daughters close, breathes in the smell of their hair. Strawberry shampoo from this morning's bath. Mama has to go back to work, but I'll call you every night before bed, every single night, I promise. Lily, 5, asks, Mama, are you going to be okay in the hurricane? Rebecca's eyes water, but she blinks it away, smiles. Yes, baby, I promise. The hospital is super strong, nothing can hurt it. And I'll be home in a few days and I'll bring you presents, okay? What do you want? A Barbie, Lily shouts. A microscope, Emma says, because Emma wants to be a scientist. Done and done. Rebecca kisses them both, hugs them tight enough to memorize the shape of their small bodies against hers. I love you both so much. So much. She boards the plane back to New Orleans, finds her seat, stares out the window as Atlanta disappears below. For a moment she considers not going back, considers staying, considers choosing her daughters over her patients. But then she thinks of Mrs. Baptiste, 68 years old, stage 4 breast cancer, who held Rebecca's hand yesterday and whispered, Please don't leave me. I'm scared. I don't want to die alone. Rebecca keeps her seatbelt fastened as the plane descends toward Louis Armstrong International Airport. She's made her choice, right or wrong, she's made her choice. Okay, I need to pause for just a second because I want to know something. Are you still with me? I know this is heavy, but these 5 women deserve to have their stories told completely, not just the ending. They were real people with real families, and what happened to them matters. If you're invested in finding out the truth, and trust me, it's going to get darker before it gets darker, hit that like button so I know you're still here. And drop a comment telling me, would you have stayed? Would you have made the same choice they did? I'm curious because what happens next is going to test every assumption you have about heroism and evil. When the storm came, Sunday, August 28, 2005, 6:00 p.m., Memorial Medical Center transforms. The hospital becomes a fortress preparing for siege. Staff secure equipment, move supplies to upper floors, tape windows with giant X's to minimize shattering. Administrator Ernest Guidry from Life Care Hospital walks through all 7 floors, clipboard in hand, barking orders, micromanaging everything. He's 44 years old, MBA in Healthcare Administration from Tulane, no medical training whatsoever, and he's terrified. Not for the patients, for the lawsuits that will come if anything goes wrong. Dr. Lydia Moran, head of internal medicine, organizes triage protocols with a calm efficiency that makes everyone feel safer. We've done this before, she tells staff in the 4th floor conference room. Hurricane George in '98, Hurricane Ivan last year. We know how to handle this. Pharmacist Deanna West inventories medications, creates emergency distribution protocols. By midnight, Memorial holds 220 patients, 600 staff and family members, and 15 pets that people smuggled in despite regulations. Jennifer Chen works the overnight shift in ICU, checking ventilators one by one, making sure backup battery systems are charged. She texts Marcus at 11:47 p.m. Storm's getting close. Wind sounds scary. I love you. Talk tomorrow. Maria Rodriguez helps move elderly life care patients from the 7th floor to interior rooms, away from windows. The life care patients are the sickest in the hospital. Ventilators, feeding tubes, minimal consciousness. Moving them requires 6 people per patient. Careful coordination, endless patience. Patty Williams plays cards with pediatric patients who can't sleep, telling them stories about second lines and Mardi Gras, making them laugh. When this is over, she tells a 5-year-old girl named Jasmine, I'll take you to see my brass band play, you'll love it, we're loud and fun. Angela Thornton updates staff schedules, assigns nurses to floors, makes sure everyone knows their roles. She's in charge. These are her people. She'll protect them. Rebecca Moore reads to cancer patients who can't sleep, Patricia Cornwell mysteries, John Grisham thrillers, anything to distract from the sound of wind rattling windows. Mrs. Baptiste holds Rebecca's hand while she reads, squeezing tight during particularly loud gusts. Monday, August 29, 2005. 5:15 a.m. Katrina makes landfall. The hurricane hits as a Category 3, winds screaming at 125 miles per hour, transforming New Orleans into a war zone. Memorial shakes but holds. Windows blow out on upper floors, glass exploding inward, shards flying like shrapnel. The sound is apocalyptic. Freight trains and jet engines and the earth breaking open. Jennifer Chen sits on the 4th floor, listening to the hospital groan, feeling it sway slightly. She texts Marcus, it's bad but we're okay. Building is strong. I love you. Marcus texts back immediately, I love you. Stay safe. Call me when you can. Jennifer never calls. Monday, 8:30 a.m. The 17th Street Canal breaches. The levee fails catastrophically. Water pours into Lakeview Mid-City Gentilly, 15-foot waves carrying cars, debris, bodies, entire houses. The water moves with the speed and power of a tsunami, destroying everything in its path. It reaches Memorial at 9 a.m., a wall of brown, filthy water full of gasoline and sewage and chemicals from flooded industrial sites. Staff on the 1st floor run for the stairs as water crashes through doors and windows, rising, rising, rising. Monday, 9:15 a.m. Power dies. Floodwater reaches the basement. Generators drown with mechanical screams. The hospital goes black. Ventilators stop. Monitors flatline. 800 people are trapped in darkness with no power, no phones, no communication. Water rising to the 3rd floor landing. Angela Thornton is in the 4th floor nurses' station when the lights die. She grabs a flashlight, thank God she thought to bring flashlights, and runs to check her floor. Everyone stay calm, she shouts, her voice cutting through the panic. We have procedures for this. We've trained for this. But they haven't trained for this. Nobody trained for total catastrophic failure. Nobody trained for being completely cut off from the outside world with 220 dying patients and no way to save them. Jennifer Chen runs to her ICU patients. 6 people on ventilators, machines now silent, alarms screaming their mechanical death cries. She grabs an ambu bag, a manual resuscitation device, essentially a balloon that you squeeze to push air into lungs, and starts bagging her first patient. Squeeze, release. 2 breaths every 5 seconds, forever. Her arms burn. She doesn't stop. The Attic, Monday, August 29, 2005. 10 a.m., 9 p.m., the longest day. Water rises to 8 feet and stops at the 3rd floor landing. 1st and 2nd floors are completely underwater. Pharmacy submerged, medical records destroyed, emergency room flooded, everything lost. Outside, New Orleans is drowning. Bodies float past windows. A woman on a rooftop 3 blocks away waves a white towel, screaming for help that won't come. Helicopters circle but can't land. Nowhere to land. Too much chaos. Too many people dying. Inside Memorial, staff transition from medical care to battlefield triage. Temperatures climb to 110 degrees. No air conditioning, windows sealed, humidity suffocating. Elderly patients die from heat exhaustion, 2 on Monday, 5 on Tuesday. Staff carry bodies to a makeshift morgue in a second-floor chapel, laying them on pews. The smell is unbearable. ICU patients on ventilators must be manually bagged constantly. Jennifer Chen bags a 65-year-old man who had triple bypass surgery 3 days earlier. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Her arms scream in pain. She doesn't stop. Other nurses rotate in, taking turns, keeping 8 patients alive through pure human determination and burning muscles. Life care patients on the 7th floor are trapped in hell. The 7th floor is the hottest part of the building. Heat rises and they're at the top. Some patients weigh 300 pounds, can't be carried down 6 flights of stairs. They're dying hourly. Heat, dehydration, equipment failure. Ernest Guidry is frantic, pacing the 7th floor, demanding answers. "What's the evacuation plan?" he shouts at Dr. Lydia Moran. "When are the boats coming? When are the helicopters coming? We need to evacuate now." Dr. Moran doesn't know. Nobody knows. Communication is completely dead. No phones, no internet, no radios except one battery-powered AM receiver that picks up news in fragments. Superdome roof peeling off, convention center descending into chaos, 80% of the city underwater, thousands dead, nobody coming. Nobody outside knows Memorial is dying inside. The hospital is invisible, forgotten. One more building in a city of drowned buildings. Staff organize by candlelight and flashlights. They create a triage system borrowed from battlefield medicine. Patients are marked with colored wristbands based on survival likelihood. Green, stable, will survive. Yellow, critical but salvageable. Red, comfort care only, too sick to save. It's Sophie's choice medicine. It's playing God. It's necessary. Families wander through floors in the darkness, searching for loved ones, asking questions nobody can answer. Children cry. Elderly patients beg for water. Staff share their personal bottles, 1 sip per person. That's all there is. Someone starts a prayer circle on the 4th floor. Catholics and Baptists and Muslims and atheists holding hands in the dark, praying to God or the universe or whatever might be listening. Confusion is total. Nobody knows who's where. Nobody's taking attendance. People are scattered across 7 floors, moving constantly, helping whoever needs help. The 5 nurses, Jennifer, Maria, Patty, Angela, Rebecca, are seen throughout the day. Jennifer Chen, 2:04 p.m., 4th floor ICU, manually bagging ventilator patient. Dr. Malcolm Reed sees her, tells her to take a break. She refuses. "If I stop, he dies." Maria Rodriguez, 4:00 p.m., 4th floor medication room, preparing morphine doses for comfort care patients. Pharmacist Diana West is with her, helping calculate dosages. Maria is singing softly in Spanish, not a lullaby, a hymn. Dios está aquí, tan cierto como el aire que respiro. Patty Williams, 6:00 p.m., 4th floor stairwell, carrying bottles of water to 7th floor life care patients. Security guard Travis Johnson helps her, warns her the stairs are dangerous in the dark. She goes anyway. Angela Thornton, 7:30 p.m., 4th floor nurses station, updating patient charts by flashlight, maintaining records even in chaos. Dr. Lydia Moran stops, touches her shoulder. "Angela, you should rest." Angela shakes her head. Later. "Right now, my girls need me working." Rebecca Moore, 8:00 p.m., 4th floor supply closet, gathering adult diapers for incontinent patients. Janitor Robert Clay is helping her carry supplies. She's exhausted, swaying on her feet. "Just need to finish this," she tells him. "Then I'll sleep." After 8:01 p.m. Monday, none of the 5 nurses are seen again. By Tuesday morning, nobody notices they're missing. The chaos is too overwhelming. Staff work 48-hour shifts without sleep, without food, running on adrenaline and desperation. People assume the nurses are on different floors, helping different patients. In a building with 800 people scattered across 7 floors in darkness, it's easy to lose track of 5 women. Tuesday, helicopters finally arrive. Sickest patients evacuate first. ICU, life care, pediatrics. Staff carry patients up to the roof helipad, one by one, in brutal August heat. The helicopters take 2 patients at a time. At this rate, it'll take days to evacuate everyone. By Wednesday afternoon, August 31st, Memorial is finally empty except for 45 corpses in the chapel morgue. Staff scatter, some to Baton Rouge hotels, some to Houston shelters, some to family in Atlanta, some to FEMA trailers in parks and parking lots. Everyone assumes they'll come back. Nobody comes back. The building will remain flooded and abandoned for 3 years. The families, September 1st, 2005. The phone calls start. Marcus Devaney calls every hospital in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. I'm looking for Jennifer Chen. She's a nurse. She was at Memorial. Have you seen her? Is her name on any evacuation lists? Nothing. Nobody has Jennifer's name. She's not at Baton Rouge General, not at University Hospital, not at Tulane evacuated to Houston, not anywhere. He drives to Baton Rouge, checks every evacuation center, every Red Cross shelter, every hotel lobby. He carries her photo, the one from Café du Monde, both of them covered in powdered sugar, and shows it to everyone. Have you seen her? Please, have you seen her? Nobody has. Maria Rodriguez's sister, Estella, calls hospitals obsessively. 8 hours a day, every hospital in the Gulf Coast. Maria Rodriguez, 41, nurse, Memorial Medical Center. Please, have you seen her? Her boys ask daily, where's Mama? When's Mama coming home? Estella lies, soon, babies, soon. But she's starting to believe Mama's not coming home ever. Patty Williams's fiancé Darnell files missing person reports with NOPD, but NOPD barely exists. 80% of the police force is homeless, scattered, traumatized. Nobody investigates. Nobody has time. The city is drowning in bodies and crime and chaos. Angela Thornton's nursing friends call her cell phone repeatedly. Voicemail full. This mailbox is full and cannot accept new messages. They call her house in Lakeview. No answer. They drive to her house, or where her house used to be. It's gone. Completely destroyed. Just a foundation slab and debris. Rebecca Moore's husband David flies from Atlanta to New Orleans, rents a boat, wades through toxic floodwater filled with gasoline and sewage and dead things to Memorial Medical Center. The building is abandoned, dark, ominous. He screams her name into the empty structure. Rebecca, Becca, where are you? His voice echoes back. Nobody answers. September 16th, 2005. NOPD officially lists 5 nurses as missing. The report is bare bones. Jennifer Chen, Maria Rodriguez, Patricia Williams, Angela Thornton, Rebecca Moore. Last seen Memorial Medical Center, August 29, 2005. Presumed Katrina casualties. Bodies not recovered. FBI gets involved but is overwhelmed. There are 2,189 people missing across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. 5 nurses aren't priority when there are mass graves and murder scenes and looting, and the entire city descending into Lord of the Flies chaos. Hospitals are checked. None have records of the 5 evacuating. Their names aren't on helicopter manifests, boat logs, bus rosters, nothing. It's as if they vanished into thin air. October through December 2005. Body recovery. Families submit DNA samples to the Louisiana State Crime Lab. Every body recovered from the floodwater is tested. Every unidentified corpse in the morgue is tested. Dental records are compared. Fingerprints are checked. December 15, 2005. None of the 5 nurses are identified among the recovered bodies. Families hold memorial services with empty caskets. Jennifer's service is at her parents' church in San Francisco, full of flowers and photos and weeping. Marcus gives the eulogy, voice breaking. Jennifer was the best person I ever knew. She stayed to save lives. She died a hero, and I will love her until the day I die. Maria's service is in Houston, attended by her boys and the entire extended family. Miguel, 12, reads a letter in Spanish. Mami, gracias por todo. Gracias por amarnos. Te extrañamos. Mommy, thank you for everything. Thank you for loving us. We miss you. Patty's service is in New Orleans, one of the first after the storm, at St. Augustine Church in Treme. Darnell plays her favorite brass band music. Her grandmother Esther, 73, doesn't cry, just sits silent, staring at the empty casket. Angela's service is small, attended only by memorial nurses. She had no family. The nurses eulogize her. Mama Angie taught us how to be nurses. She taught us how to be strong. Rebecca's service is complicated. Her Garden District family refuses to attend because she married a musician and became a nurse. David and their daughters Emma and Lily sit alone in the front row. Emma, 7, asks, "Daddy, where's Mommy's body?" David doesn't know how to answer. August 29, 2006. 1 year anniversary. New Orleans builds a memorial wall listing Katrina victims. The 5 nurses' names are engraved: Jennifer Chen, Maria Rodriguez, Patricia Williams, Angela Thornton, Rebecca Moore, presumed deceased, bodies not recovered, heroes who stayed to heal. Families attend the dedication. Marcus Devaney stands in the rain, staring at Jennifer's name carved in granite. Official explanation from NOPD: drowned, swept away by floodwater, bodies lost to Lake Pontchartrain or the Gulf of Mexico. But Marcus knows better. The 4th floor never flooded. Water stopped at the 3rd floor landing. Something else happened. Something nobody's telling him. 18 years of not knowing. 2006-2010. The case goes cold. FBI officially closes the investigation in 2007. Final report conclusion: 5 nurses presumed Katrina fatalities. No evidence of foul play. Bodies likely swept to Gulf, unrecoverable. NOPD keeps the case technically open, but assigns nobody to work it. There's no evidence, no leads, no bodies, no crime scene. Just 5 missing women and a natural disaster to blame. Marcus Devaney becomes obsessed. He takes leave from the Coast Guard, 6 months, then a year, then 2 years. He hires private investigators who find nothing. He creates FindJenniferChen.com, a website with Jennifer's photo, details of her disappearance, pleas for information. He posts on every true crime forum, every missing persons database, every cold case group. Traffic dwindles. By 2009, the website gets 12 visitors a month. By 2011, 0. Maria Rodriguez's sons grow up without mama. Miguel enlists in the army at 18, serves 2 tours in Afghanistan. Carlos gets a scholarship to Tulane, studies medicine, becomes a doctor like mama wanted. Louis struggles, drops out of high school. Addiction problems, arrested twice for possession. Estella cries, "Your mama would be so disappointed." Louise cries back, "Mama's dead. Mama left us." Patty Williams's fiancé Darnell never marries, never moves on. He visits the empty lot where Memorial stood every Sunday, leaves flowers, fresh roses that wilt in the Louisiana heat. People think he's crazy. He doesn't care. "She's waiting for me," he tells his friends. Wherever she is, she's waiting. 2011-2022. The case dies completely. Media stops covering it. Katrina 10th anniversary mentions the 5 nurses briefly. 15th anniversary doesn't mention them at all. By 2020, they're completely forgotten, except by their families. Marcus remarries in 2018, a widow from Biloxi named Linda, who lost her husband when their house collapsed during Katrina. They bond over shared loss, shared grief, shared understanding that some wounds never heal. Marcus loves Linda, but on their wedding night he cries because it feels like betraying Jennifer. Linda holds him. She'd want you to be happy. She'd want you to live. But Marcus never stops wondering. Never stops visiting the memorial wall every August 29th. Never stops looking at that photo from Café du Monde. Sarah Chen, Jennifer's younger sister, becomes a true crime podcaster in 2019. In 2021, she produces an episode titled The 5 Nurses of Katrina, What Really Happened. Downloads 12,247. Comments 143. Leads 0. By 2023, the case is ice cold, frozen solid, dead and buried. The families have accepted they'll never know what happened. They've built lives around the grief, learned to function with the hole in their hearts. Until August 27, 2023, when everything changes. The Discovery Sunday, August 27, 2023. 12:35 p.m. Memorial Medical Center demolition site. The building has been abandoned since 2005, flooded and rotting for 18 years. The city finally condemned it in 2021. Demolition starts in August 2023. Crews tearing down the structure floor by floor, room by room, erasing the last physical evidence of Hurricane Katrina's horrors. Demolition foreman Tommy Boudreau, 48, 20 years in construction, climbs the ladder into the sealed 4th floor attic. He's checking for asbestos before his crew tears down the roof. His flashlight sweeps across the space. Dust, insulation, darkness. Then his light lands on something that makes his blood freeze. 5 shapes wrapped in plastic, arranged in a neat row. He moves closer, shining his light. Hospital privacy curtains, the blue-striped kind used around patient beds, wrapped around human-shaped forms, secured with duct tape yellowed by time. On each wrapped body, a plastic Ziploc bag. Inside each bag, a hospital ID badge. Tommy reads the names on the badges. Chen, Rodriguez, Williams, Thornton, Moore. He nearly falls off the ladder. 12:40 p.m. The 911 call. Tommy's hands shake so badly he can barely dial. When the operator answers, his voice breaks. I found them. Oh God, I found them. I found the 5 nurses. The ones from Katrina, they're in the attic. They've been here the whole time. They've been here for 18 years. 1:15 p.m. NOPD arrives. Detectives Simone Broussard and James Chen, no relation to Jennifer, climb into the attic. Forensic photographer captures everything. The bodies are positioned carefully, deliberately, not thrown, not hidden in panic, arranged, each body wrapped in privacy curtains, each secured with hospital-grade duct tape, each labeled with ID badge. This wasn't an accident, this wasn't panic, this was methodical. The attic access panel was modified, screwed shut from below with 8 screws, ceiling tiles reinstalled perfectly to hide the entrance. Whoever did this had time, had tools, had knowledge of the building's structure. 2:00 p.m. News breaks. CNN. Breaking: 5 nurses missing. Since Hurricane Katrina found dead in hospital attic, 18 years later. Fox News. Katrina cold case solved. Bodies discovered at former Memorial Medical Center. Every network, every website, every social media platform explodes. The story that everyone forgot becomes the only story anyone can talk about. Marcus Devaney is at Coast Guard headquarters in Mobile when his phone rings. It's Sarah Chen, Jennifer's sister, screaming and crying. They found her. Marcus, they found her. She's been in the attic. She's been there the whole time. Marcus collapses. His fellow officers catch him before he hits the floor. After 18 years of searching, of wondering, of hoping against hope, that Jennifer somehow survived and lost her memory and was living somewhere not knowing who she was, after 18 years, he has his answer. Jennifer didn't drown. Jennifer was murdered. The truth comes out. Autopsy results, September 1st, 2023. Dr. Nina Patel, forensic anthropologist with the Louisiana State Crime Lab, examines the remains. Bodies are severely decomposed after 18 years in a Louisiana attic. Heat, humidity, insects. But bones tell stories that flesh can't hide. DNA testing confirms identities within 72 hours. Body 1, Jennifer Chen. Body 2, Maria Rodriguez. Body 3, Patricia Williams. Body 4, Angela Thornton. Body 5, Rebecca Moore. Cause of death, morphine overdose. All 5 victims injected with lethal doses, 2 to 3 times the amount needed to kill. Injection sites found in arm bones. Microscopic analysis of bone marrow confirms massive morphine concentration. Time of death, late Monday, August 29th, through early Tuesday, August 30th, 2005. Between 8 p.m. Monday and 2:00 a.m. Tuesday. They didn't drown. They didn't die from heat exhaustion. They were murdered with hospital medications, wrapped in hospital curtains, hidden in a hospital attic. Investigation accelerates. NOPD forms cold case task force. 10 detectives, FBI assistants, forensic experts. They interview everyone who was at Memorial during Katrina. 74 staff members are still alive and locatable. Interviews are exhaustive, detailed, searching for any piece of information that might lead to the killer. The detectives create a profile of the murderer. Medical knowledge, knew how to inject morphine, calculate lethal doses. Access to medications, 4th floor medication room was locked, required key code, physical strength, moved 5 bodies, each 150 pounds, up a ladder into an attic. Knowledge of building, knew about the attic space, knew how to access it, knew how to seal it. Opportunity, was on the 4th floor Monday night, had access to supplies. The list of suspects narrows dramatically. Dr. Lydia Moran interview, September 10th, 2023, Portland, Oregon. Detective Simone Broussard flies to Portland, sits across from Dr. Moran in her living room. Moran is 73 now, retired, grey-haired, wearing reading glasses. She's cooperative, shaken, horrified. I can't believe this, Moran says, hands trembling. I worked with those women. Angela was my friend. We had lunch together every Thursday. I knew her husband before he died. I can't process this. Walk me through Monday night, August 29th, 2005, Broussard says. Who was making critical care decisions? Moran thinks. carefully reconstructing memories from 18 years ago. Multiple people. Me, Dr. Malcolm Reed from surgery, the life care administrator Ernest Guidry. She stops. Her face changes. Actually, now that I think about it, Guidry was acting very strange that night. Strange how? Paranoid. Aggressive. He kept talking about lawsuits, about liability, about protecting Life Care's reputation. He was terrified that Life Care would be sued for negligence, that the disaster response would destroy the company. Tell me more about Guidry. Moran leans forward. He wasn't medical staff, he was a businessman, MBA from Tulane, worked in healthcare administration his whole career, but never touched a patient. During the storm, he was inserting himself into medical decisions, demanding we prioritize life care patients over hospital patients. There was conflict, serious conflict. Between who? Between Guidry and everyone else. He wanted us to use morphine to euthanize dying patients. Mercy killings, he called it. He said they were suffering, we couldn't save them. We should end their pain. Moran's voice drops. I refused. I told him that's murder. We don't kill patients. We comfort them, but we don't kill them. How did he react? He got angry, really angry. Started yelling about how I didn't understand the legal exposure, how Life Care would be destroyed in lawsuits, how he needed to protect the company. Moran pauses. And after Katrina, there were investigations into Life Care. Allegations that several patients died suspiciously during the evacuation. Some people claimed it was euthanasia. Were charges filed? No. The investigations concluded the deaths were from natural causes, heat exhaustion, equipment failure, but there were always rumors. Did the 5 nurses witness any of this? The arguments between you and Guidry? Moran thinks. Yes. Angela was there for several conversations. Jennifer and Maria were in the medication room when Guidry and I argued about morphine protocols. They heard everything. Detective Broussard writes notes. Where's Ernest Guidry now? I don't know. After Katrina, he moved away. Florida, I think. I never heard from him again. Ernest Nathan Guidry profile. Detectives build a complete profile. Age, 62, currently. Education, MBA. Healthcare Administration, Tulane University, 1990. Employment history. Life Care Administrator, 2003, 2005. Various healthcare jobs in Florida, 2006, 2023. Fired from Tampa, nursing home 2018, for administrative irregularities. Never spoke to media about Katrina. Never attended memorial services. Never contacted families. Financial records are revealing. September 2005, $50,000 crisis management bonus from Life Care Corporation. November 2006, house purchased in Clearwater, Florida for $280,000 cash. Multiple luxury purchases, 2006, 2008, new car, boat, country club membership. For a man whose facility failed catastrophically during Katrina, Ernest Guidry did very well financially afterward. September 20th, 2023. Arrest. FBI agents and NOPD detectives execute arrest warrant at Guidry's condo in Clearwater, Florida. He answers the door in golf clothes, confused. Ernest Guidry, you're under arrest for 5 counts of first-degree murder. Guidry's face goes white. What? This is insane. I didn't kill anyone. This is crazy. They handcuff him, read Miranda rights, transport him to jail. During initial interrogation, he denies everything. I was trying to save people. I was doing my job. I didn't kill anyone. You're blaming me for a natural disaster. But detectives have evidence. Forensic evidence connecting him to the medication room, to the attic, to everything. And they have something better. A confession from someone who knew. The informant, Deanna West, former pharmacist. Detectives interview Deanna West in Austin, Texas, where she's worked in pharmaceutical sales since 2007. She's nervous, chain-smoking, hands shaking. I need immunity, she says. I didn't kill anyone, but I gave him access. I gave Guidry the medication room codes. How I? He told me it was for emergency comfort care protocols. He said Dr. Moran approved it. He lied. She starts crying. If I'd known what he was going to do. Tell us what happened Monday night. West details everything. Guidry came to her around 9 p.m. Monday. Said he needed access to the medication lockbox for emergency use. She gave him the codes, trusted him because he was an administrator, assumed he was working with doctors. Around 10:30 p.m. she went to check the medication room. Found Guidry there alone, filling syringes with morphine. I asked what he was doing. He said comfort care for dying patients, but he was filling 5 syringes, 5 identical doses, and he looked wrong, guilty, scared. Why didn't you report it? Report it to who? The phones were dead, the police were gone, the hospital was in chaos, and he was an administrator. I thought maybe he was authorized. She's sobbing now. But I knew something was wrong. I knew, and I didn't stop him. And then the nurses disappeared, and I convinced myself it was coincidence. It was the storm. It wasn't connected. Why are you telling us now? Because I've lived with this guilt for 18 years. Because I gave him the tools to kill 5 women, because I need to tell the truth. Want to know what really happened that night? The full story is going to make you sick. But before we get there, I need you to do something for me. If you're finding value in this investigation, if you think these 5 women deserve justice and deserve to have their story told completely and accurately, please subscribe to this channel and leave a comment. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me if you've ever heard a case like this. Your engagement helps ensure stories like this don't get buried again. The full story, what happened in the attic, Monday, August 29th, 2005, 8:30 p.m., 4th floor, Memorial Medical Center. Ernest Nathan Guidry was terrified. His entire world was collapsing. The life care facility on the 7th floor was a disaster. 40 critical patients, most on ventilators, dying hourly. Staff were exhausted beyond functioning. Equipment was failing. Patients were dying. But Guidry wasn't worried about the patients. He was worried about liability. He was worried that Life Care Corporation would face massive wrongful death lawsuits. He was worried his career was over, his reputation destroyed, his future bankrupt. He'd worked 20 years to become an administrator, climbed from entry-level billing clerk to facility director. He'd bought a house, a nice car, joined a country club. He had plans. Retirement in 5 years, maybe move into hospital CEO position, make real money. Katrina was destroying all of it. And the nurses, these 5 women who'd witnessed everything, who'd seen his failures, who'd heard him argue with Dr. Moran about euthanasia. They were witnesses who could bury him in court. 9 back at p.m., the decision. Guidry approached Dr. Lydia Moran in the 4th floor doctor's lounge. "We need to use morphine for comfort care," he said. "These patients are suffering. We can't save them. The ethical thing is to let them die peacefully." Moran's response was immediate and absolute. "Absolutely not. That's euthanasia. That's murder. We don't kill patients, Mr. Guidry. We comfort them, but we don't kill them." "But the liability? I don't care about liability. I care about doing what's right. And killing patients is not right. This conversation is over." Guidry panicked. If Moran wouldn't help, if she wouldn't authorize mercy killings, the deaths would be classified as negligence. Life care would be destroyed in lawsuits. And the nurses, Angela, Jennifer, Maria, Patty, Rebecca, they'd all heard the conversation. They'd testify that Guidry proposed euthanasia. They'd testify that he prioritized corporate liability over patient care. He made a calculation. 5 witnesses versus his entire future. 9:30 p.m. The medication room. Guidry entered the 4th floor medication room using codes that pharmacist Deanna West had given him for emergency use. The room was empty. West had gone to help on another floor. Guidry worked quickly, methodically. He opened the medication lockbox, found morphine vials. He calculated dosages, 200 milligrams per person, 3 times the lethal dose. He filled 5 syringes, capped them, put them in his pocket. He also crushed sedative pills, lorazepam, a benzodiazepine, into powder, mixed it with bottled water, enough to render someone unconscious in 15 minutes. 10 p.m. The trap. Guidry found Maria Rodriguez first. She was in the 4th floor supply closet, organizing medications. "Maria, I need your help," he said, voice urgent. "I need to meet with senior nurses about legal protocols. Can you find Jennifer, Patty, Angela, and Rebecca? Tell them to meet me in the empty patient room at the end of the hall in 15 minutes. It's urgent. Life Care's lawyers need documentation." Maria trusted him. He was an administrator, she didn't question. "Okay, I'll find them." She found Jennifer in ICU, taking a break from bagging ventilator patients. "Mr. Guidry needs to talk to us about liability stuff, legal documentation." Jennifer was exhausted, arms burning from hours of manual ventilation. "Can't it wait?" He said urgent. "Lawyers need it." Jennifer sighed, nodded. Maria found Patty on the stairwell, carrying water bottles, found Angela at the nurse's station, found Rebecca in a patient room. Mr. Guidry needs to meet with us. Legal stuff. Patient room 472. 10:15 p.m. Patient room 472. The 5 nurses gathered. The room was dark, lit only by flashlights. Guidry closed the door, locked it. "Thanks for coming," he said, trying to sound calm. "This won't take long. Lifecare just needs signed statements about care protocols. Lawyers want documentation in case of lawsuits." He handed out papers, meaningless forms he'd printed days earlier. "While you're reading, anyone want water? I have bottles." He handed out water bottles. 5 bottles, each one laced with crushed lorazepam. The nurses drank. They were desperately thirsty, and water was precious. Within 20 minutes, all 5 were unconscious. Lorazepam hit fast, especially in dehydrated, exhausted bodies. Jennifer collapsed first, sliding from her chair to the floor. Maria second, head falling forward. Patty tried to stand, confused, and fell. Angela and Rebecca never even realized what was happening. Guidry worked quickly now. He pulled out the syringes, injected each woman in the arm. Jennifer's left arm, Maria's right, Patty's left, Angela's right, Rebecca's left. 200 milligrams morphine each. Within 4 minutes, all 5 women stopped breathing. Respiratory failure, peaceful, painless. They never woke up. They never knew why. They died unconscious, unaware, murdered by a coward who valued his career over their lives. 11 p.m., 2 a.m., the disposal. Guidry worked for 3 hours, methodical and careful. He pulled privacy curtains from empty patient rooms, wrapped each body like a mummy, secured the wrapping with duct tape. He placed each woman's ID badge in a Ziploc bag, placed it on her chest. Why label them? Because Guidry wasn't stupid. He knew bodies might be found eventually, but if they were found wrapped and labeled, it would look like someone tried to preserve them during chaos, not like murder. It was staging. He used a gurney to move bodies one by one to the attic access panel, a rarely used maintenance entrance in the ceiling of a 4th-floor storage closet. He'd noticed the panel during a routine inspection months earlier, remembered it was unused space. He climbed the ladder, opened the panel, lifted each body into the attic. Jennifer first, then Maria, then Patty, Angela, Rebecca. He arranged them in a neat row, placed their badges, closed the panel. Then he screwed the panel shut with 8 screws, reinstalled ceiling tiles perfectly, moved the gurney back, cleaned everything. By 2:30 a.m. Tuesday, there was no evidence, no blood, no signs of struggle, just 5 missing nurses that everyone would assume drowned or died somewhere in the chaos. Guidry went to sleep on a cot in the administrator's office. He slept soundly. Why these 5 nurses specifically? Years later, during trial testimony, Guidry confessed the logic. They were witnesses. They heard me propose euthanasia to Dr. Moran. They heard me prioritize corporate liability over patient care. If there were lawsuits, and I knew there would be lawsuits, they'd be called to testify, they'd bury me. They'd destroy Lifecare. So I eliminated the problem. Prosecutor asked, "Did you feel any remorse?" Guidry's answer, cold and calculated, "It was them or me. I chose me. Anyone would." The courtroom erupted, families screaming. Marcus Devaney lunged toward the defendant's table before bailiffs restrained him. The judge called recess, cleared the gallery. That answer, "It was them or me," became the defining quote of the trial. It revealed everything about Ernest Guidry, a man so devoid of empathy, so consumed by self-preservation, that murdering 5 women seemed reasonable. The individual deaths, forensic analysis, and Guidry's confession provided details on each victim. Jennifer Chen died approximately 10:30 p.m., Monday, August 29, 2005. Blood analysis of bone marrow showed lorazepam concentration, indicating she was deeply unconscious when injected. She never woke from the sedatives. Her last conscious thought was probably confusion about the meeting. Why did legal documentation need all 5 of them? Morphine overdose caused respiratory failure in approximately 4 minutes. Body found in attic, wearing purple scrub top with cartoon stethoscopes, still wearing her jade bracelet that Marcus had given her for their 1-year anniversary. In her pocket, preserved in plastic, 3 letters to Marcus she'd written before Katrina, but never mailed. Maria Rodriguez died approximately 10:35 p.m. Forensic evidence showed bruising on arm bones and defensive wounds on hand bones. She tried to fight. Toxicology suggested she metabolized lorazepam faster than the others, meaning she was partially conscious when Guidry injected her. She may have been awake enough to know something was wrong, to realize she was being murdered, to try to resist. The thought that Maria Rodriguez died knowing she was being killed, that her last moments were terror and fighting, haunts investigators. Body found still clutching her gold crucifix. Photo of Miguel, Carlos and Luis in her badge holder. Patricia Williams died approximately 10:40 p.m. Toxicology showed high lorazepam concentration. She was completely unconscious when injected. Her wedding was planned for October 22, 2005, 6 weeks away. Her grandmother's Bible was in her pocket, the one Esther had given her that morning with instructions to read Psalm 23 if she got scared. Her engagement ring was still on her finger, a simple gold band with 3 small diamonds that Darnell had saved 6 months to buy. Angela Thornton died approximately 10:45 p.m. Mama Angie, who protected her nurses, died because she witnessed a coward's failure. Unconscious when injected. In her pocket, patient care notes she'd been updating even during the disaster, maintaining records because that's what good nurses do. Her porcelain angels survived in her attic in Lakeview, were recovered by insurance adjusters in 2007, donated to memorial nurses who remembered her. Rebecca Moore died approximately 10:50 p.m. Mother of 2, estranged from family, killed for being a witness, unconscious when injected. Wedding ring on chain around neck bones. Investigators found it still there. Gold chain tarnished but intact. In her pocket, letters to Emma and Lily she'd written during the storm, telling them how much she loved them, telling them to be strong, telling them Mama would always watch over them. The letters were never mailed. Emma and Lily received them as evidence after the trial. All 5 women died within 20 minutes of entering room 472. None of them knew why they were dying. None of them had a chance to fight, to scream, to warn anyone. They were murdered efficiently, methodically, coldly. Justice and Legacy trial begins June 3, 2024. Ernest Guidry pleads not guilty, claims the case is circumstantial, claims he's a scapegoat for hospital failures during Katrina. His defense attorney argues, where's the physical evidence directly linking Mr. Guidry to these deaths? Where are the fingerprints, the DNA, the eyewitnesses? This is a witch hunt against a man who was just trying to do his job during an unprecedented disaster. But the prosecution presents overwhelming evidence, forensic evidence. Screwdriver found in Guidry's office matches screws used to seal attic access panel. Tool mark analysis confirms match to 99.7% certainty. Access logs. Guidry had master key access to medication room, was one of only 5 people with codes. Witness testimony. Deanna West testifies Guidry took morphine from medication room Monday night. Dr. Lydia Moran testifies about Guidry's paranoia about lawsuits, his proposal for euthanasia, his fear of the 5 nurses' testimony. Financial records. Guidry's $50,000 crisis management bonus from LifeCare in September 2005. His cash house purchase in 2006. Prosecution argues this was payment for handling the liability problem. The confession, most damning of all, recorded jailhouse conversation between Guidry and his attorney. Guidry thought the conversation was privileged, didn't realize jail phones record everything. He said to his lawyer, I had to protect LifeCare. Those nurses would have buried us in court. They would have testified about the euthanasia conversation, about my decisions, about everything. I had no choice. It was them or the company. His lawyer's response, Jesus Christ, Ernest. Don't ever say that again, to anyone. Too late. The conversation was recorded, transcribed, presented to the jury. Jury deliberation takes 6 hours. Verdict on all 5 counts. Guilty, first-degree murder. The courtroom explodes. Families crying, screaming, hugging. Marcus Devani collapses in his chair, sobbing. Maria's sons, Miguel, Carlos, Luis, hold each other. Darnell sits silent, tears streaming. Rebecca's daughters Emma and Lily clutch their father. Angela's former nurses hold hands, crying. Ernest Guidry shows no emotion, just sits staring straight ahead. Sentencing, October 15, 2024. Judge Patricia Mendez reads the sentence. Ernest Nathan Guidry, you have been found guilty of 5 counts of first-degree murder. You murdered 5 women, nurses who stayed during Hurricane Katrina to save lives, because you were afraid they would tell the truth about your failures. You valued your career over their lives. You showed no remorse. You will spend the rest of your life in prison. Life without possibility of parole on each count. Sentences to run consecutively. You will die in Angola State Penitentiary. Before the judge closes proceedings, she allows victim impact statements. Marcus Devaney addresses the court, voice shaking. Ernest Guidry murdered my fiancée because she was a good nurse, because she cared about patients more than she cared about corporate liability, because she would have told the truth about what happened during Katrina. He killed 5 women who risked their lives to save others, because he was a coward afraid of being exposed. I hope he rots in that prison. I hope every day of his life is agony. I hope he dies alone, forgotten, worthless, the way he deserves. Miguel Rodriguez, Maria's oldest son, now 30. My mother raised us alone. She worked double shifts to give us a better life. She stayed during Katrina because she needed $500 for our school supplies. $500. You murdered my mother for $500 and your reputation. I became a soldier. I've seen evil in combat, but I've never seen anything as evil as you. Darnell Washington, Patty's fiancé. Patty and I were supposed to get married October 22, 2005. I waited for her. I visited the memorial wall every Sunday for 18 years. I never dated anyone else. I never moved on. And now I know she's been dead in that attic the whole time, murdered by you. I hope you suffer. I hope every second of your miserable life is suffering. Emma Moore, Rebecca's daughter, now 25. My mother chose her patients over her safety. She chose nursing over everything. And you killed her because she witnessed your cowardice. You stole my mother from me and my sister. We grew up without her because you were afraid of a lawsuit. I hope you die in that prison. I hope nobody mourns you. Ernest Guidry's response. The judge asks if Guidry has any statement. His attorney advises silence. Guidry ignores him, stands, speaks. I did what I had to do to protect life care. Those nurses were liabilities. This is just business. Sometimes in healthcare administration you have to make difficult decisions. The courtroom erupts again. Judge Mendez orders bailiffs to remove Guidry immediately. As they drag him away, he's still talking. You don't understand. The lawsuits would have destroyed everything. I saved the company. I'm a hero. The door closes on his voice. Systemic changes. Louisiana legislature passes the 5 Nurses Act in 2025. All hospitals must maintain real-time tracking of all personnel during disasters. No one can vanish without immediate investigation. Healthcare administrators without medical training cannot have unsupervised access to medication rooms during emergencies. All disaster medication protocols must be approved by multiple physicians, documented in writing. Any missing person from a secure facility during a disaster must be treated as potential crime, not assumed disaster casualty. FEMA creates new post-disaster investigation protocols. CDC updates disaster response guidelines. Medical licensing boards require ethics training on disaster triage. Jennifer, Maria, Patty, Angela, and Rebecca's deaths changed how America handles disaster medical care. Memorial. New Memorial Medical Center opens in 2026 on different land. In the lobby, a memorial wall. Jennifer Chen, Maria Rodriguez, Patricia Williams, Angela Thornton, Rebecca Moore murdered August 29, 2005, during Hurricane Katrina. They stayed to heal. They were killed for witnessing evil. They died heroes. They rest in peace. Below their names, photos, not from driver's licenses, but from life. Jennifer at Café du Monde, covered in powdered sugar, laughing. Maria with her sons, all 4 hugging, smiling. Patty playing clarinet in her brass band mid-song. Angela at work, surrounded by nurses she trained. Rebecca reading to a patient, holding a wrinkled hand. They lived. They're remembered. Marcus visits the memorial every August 29th. He brings lotus flowers, Jennifer's favorite. He sits on the bench facing her photo, talks to her like she can hear. He tells her about his life, about Linda, about the cases he's worked, about the people he's saved. I found you, love, he whispers. It took 18 years, but I found you. Now you can rest, now we both can rest. And in Angola State Penitentiary, Ernest Guidry serves his life sentence in a 6x8 cell. No visitors, no letters, no sympathy. Other prisoners know what he did. Even in prison, murdering nurses is unforgivable. He's in protective custody, isolated, alone. His Clearwater condo remains unsold. Vandals spray-painted murder on the door, broke windows, destroyed the interior. The HOA tried to sell it. Nobody wants it. Some buildings carry their sins. Final thoughts. 5 women stayed during Hurricane Katrina to save lives. They made a choice, a brave choice, a selfless choice, a choice that most of us couldn't make. They stayed because patients needed them, because that's what nurses do, because saving lives matters more than safety. And they were murdered for witnessing a coward's failure. Ernest Guidry killed them not because they threatened his life, but because they threatened his career. They died because they would have told the truth. They died because honesty was dangerous to a man who valued reputation over humanity. For 18 years, their families lived in agony, not knowing. Marcus Devaney searching, hoping, believing Jennifer might be alive somewhere with amnesia. Maria's sons growing up wondering if Mama abandoned them. Darnell waiting at the memorial wall every Sunday. Emma and Lily growing up without their mother's voice, their mother's laughter, their mother's love. 18 years of torture because one man was afraid of a lawsuit. Justice took 18 years, but justice came. The 5 nurses can rest now. Their families can grieve now. The truth is known now, but nothing brings them back. Nothing gives Marcus his wedding day. Nothing gives Maria's sons their mother. Nothing gives Patty her wedding, Angela her retirement, Rebecca her daughter's graduations. Nothing fixes this. So I want to leave you with this question. What would you do? If you were a nurse during a disaster, would you stay? Would you risk everything to save strangers? I don't know if I would. I hope I would. But I don't know. If this story affected you, and I hope it did, because these women deserve to be remembered, please subscribe, please like this video, and please comment below. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me if you've heard similar cases. Tell me if you think the justice system worked here, or if life in prison is enough for what Ernest Guidry did. And if you know a nurse, thank them. Because nurses are heroes. Every single day, they choose other people's lives over their own safety. They chose it during COVID. They chose it during Katrina. They choose it every day. Jennifer Chen, Maria Rodriguez, Patricia Williams, Angela Thornton, and Rebecca Moore chose it. And they died for that choice. Remember them, honor them, tell their story, because the worst thing we can do to the dead is forget they lived. Rest in peace, nurses. You saved lives. You witnessed evil. You died heroes. And now, finally, your story is told.